Thanks for tuning into our seller interview series. Today we've got an e-commerce business in the health and fitness niche. Created in March 2012, this business makes $4,082 per month in net profit, and the listing number for this site is 40663. Now, we do these interviews to give potential buyers more information about both the seller and the sites they're looking to purchase. We hope these insights are helpful for you in making a buying decision. We've got the seller with us today to go through the business and cover everything from niche selection to traffic and monetization. Thanks for coming on, Carl.
Hi, Greg. Yeah, great to be here.
Yeah, great to have you, man. Before we dive into the questions, just to give our viewers out there in internet land a quick summary of the business. As I mentioned, it was built in March 2012. Has a monthly revenue of $11,090, with the expenses sitting right at $7,008 for that total net profit of $4,082. And that is over a 9-month average, and included with the sales, obviously the site and the domain with all the files and images and reports, as well as a 9,000 plus email subscriber list and a Facebook page with over 7,000 fans. And the sale will also include a satellite site. So Carl, I know we were talking a little bit before the call that you have had some experience before selling businesses, but for our audience out there, can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Yeah, so I've been in the online marketing, sort of online business space for around 6 to 7 years. Previously, I was actually in the construction industry. I was a joiner, and due to certain reasons, I kind of fell into internet marketing. So for the last 3 to 4 years, I've actually been running an AdWords consulting business. And, I've done various things, affiliate marketing. Back in the day before Google made a lot of the changes with the Panda and Penguin updates, I used to do a lot of the micro niche AdSense sites as well, with quite a lot of success. So, yeah, I've been around the space for quite a while now.
Awesome. And how did you come up with the idea for this business in particular? Without giving away the niche, obviously.
Well, this business one I originally created by myself was actually a client's business, and they were selling because they were starting a new business. They were actually setting up a restaurant, and they needed extra funds, to put into that business. And as I had quite a lot of experience just working with them and I knew quite a lot about the business, I saw the opportunity there to take it over. So, yeah, I bought it about a year ago from the owner. Yeah.
That's a pretty unique experience. So you were doing the AdWords for them. They were your client for this business, and then they sold it and you saw the opportunity, so you bought your client's business. That's cool. So for someone that is brand new to e-commerce business, or maybe relatively new to online business in general, could you just briefly describe how this business makes money?
Yeah, so it sells a number of different sports supplements via the website. So it's a standard type e-commerce business. Most of the traffic comes via Google, organic. Yeah, it's fairly straightforward. We obviously buy the product and then we warehouse the product, and that's fulfilled by another company. So it's quite straightforward, really, in terms of day running the site. But yeah, it's just a standard e-commerce business, really.
So you know this business pretty well. I mean, you were doing the ads and marketing for one of your clients before you purchased it from them. Now you've been running it successfully. Why are you selling the business? Why not keep it and grow it?
I mean, the truth is, there's a few reasons. The first reason is, I actually bought it to sell it. I saw the opportunity there. I knew we wanted to sell it, and I got a reasonably good deal on it. So I kind of made the money when I bought it, if you like. Yeah. So admittedly, I probably have been a little bit lazy, and I could have probably added quite a lot more value. But it's been making around $4,000 a month, and that's been quite passive, especially now that I've outsourced the fulfillment and the labeling and things like that. There's not a lot of work to do, day to day. So yeah, I mean, maybe I have been a little bit lazy, but that was kind of what attracted me to buying it. I knew it was all set up and running, quite well by itself anyway. So
yeah, that makes sense. We all love that, $4,000 a month. That's pretty good for working very few hours, for sure.
Absolutely.
What's the plan after the sale? Do you have any ideas for the money?
Yeah, I mean, I have a few other projects, a few other websites and some ideas. And also I'm looking to I do a little bit of property development on the side, or at least I have done over the last few years. So I'm looking to, get more into that, really. And obviously it's quite sort of cash intensive. You need, deposit money, refurb money. It's, it's not something you can do on a low budget. So yeah, I think I'm definitely going to put, a certain percentage of the money towards that business.
Yeah, that's a fantastic idea. I'm actually a big fan of real estate myself. I grew up in the real estate industry in Alaska, so I'm fairly familiar with it. And you are right, very capital intensive.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Moving into the e-commerce store's history, what was the trajectory of this business? Now, I know you bought the business, so I'm assuming it was already up and running for you. And you mentioned you didn't do too much, so it's just been kind of on this steady trajectory of $4,000 a month?
Yeah. So, I mean, over the years, it has done more in the past. The old owner, as we mentioned, used to run PPC. Now, I didn't actually run the PPC for him, but I used to just help him a little bit with it from time to time. And he broke the terms of services a couple of times, and he actually got the account banned. So it doesn't run AdWords anymore, so that you can actually see where AdWords ended. I mean, it is bad, I guess, but it's not the end of the world. When we actually looked into it, I don't think the ROI on AdWords was that great. It was pretty much break even. Just in the early stages, I think it did a really good job of, branding the site and just pushing it out there and getting it a lot more exposure. So a lot of the brand traffic now could probably be, attributed to, having a lot of paid ads in the beginning. But in terms of organic traffic, it's it's fairly stable. I've not done a lot of work on it since I bought it. The main work that I've done has been, outsourcing the fulfillment and things like that. But it's very steady. It's very consistent and stable. Obviously dips down a little bit in December and then it spikes up again in January. And at this sort of period of the year, we're in now September, as we come at the end of summer, we tend to see a little dip there as well. It's generally the way it works is because a lot of the customers are bodybuilders. They'll be cutting up to summer and then they'll bulk through winter. So as the end of summer comes, they've all cut up and showed off their physiques over the summer, and then they've kind of given up a little bit and they'll go back to bulking in the winter. So that's generally what we see. That's the kind of flow of the monthly sales that we see. But yeah, it's the trajectory is it's just steady. I mean, I certainly think that if I'd have put more time and effort into the SEO and maybe adding more products and things like that, it certainly could have climbed a lot more. But yeah, it's certainly stable.
So as far as the AdWords account goes, is say a new buyer is interested in running AdWords to this site, would they be able to? Or
no, I wouldn't think so. No, I mean it's the domain that's banned. So I mean, unless somebody knew how to get accounts back up and running, I mean they probably could still sell the products via AdWords, but it'd have to be via a different site.
Gotcha. Cool. Good to know for a buyer to go in for sure. Obviously, it's doing quite well without AdWords, so that's always good.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, I have run some Facebook ads and things like that on it, and it does quite well on Facebook ads if you get that right. I mean, if for anybody who's on the listing page on the Empire Flippers site, there's 1 month where you'll see the page views spike up. I believe it was May. The revenue and the profits spiked up, and that was actually a Facebook ad campaign.
Oh,
so,
very nice.
Yeah, it does all right on Facebook ads, but it kind of need the right offer to make that work.
Yeah, sure. So what did you learn from this business that just worked? Is there anything, like any lessons you might take to your other businesses, something you learned from this?
I mean, quite a lot, really, because I'd never run anything e-commerce before. So, I've learned a lot from it and definitely given me an interest in e-commerce, I do some more stuff in the e-commerce space. But I think just learning about the industry, I've learned, a lot about the industry that I didn't know previously. And also just how much sort of good customer service can really sort of help in terms of, loyal customers, repeat business and stuff like that. There's not a huge amount of support to do on the site on a daily basis, but what I tend to try and do is when them people do come along with a question, I try to sort of really over deliver and really get back to them fast. And what that tends to result in is they keep getting repeat. They might ring back occasionally with questions, but we get a lot of repeat business. The customers that we do have are really sort of loyal customers.
Yeah, customer service can be a huge differentiator, especially in the e-commerce business, because what I find is a lot of the entrepreneurs, they kind of just want the affiliate play almost, they have like a drop shipping thing and they're like, I don't want to deal with any customers or whatever. But as you mentioned, usually it's not that labor intensive and definitely can increase the loyalty. And with a product like yours, or, I'm assuming people order fairly often and maybe even on a monthly basis, that's an awesome thing to really exploit. So is there anything you tried that didn't work? Anything that just kind of fell flat on its face? I'm assuming the AdWords happened before you bought the business. So was there anything else that just didn't work?
Not really, no. The only thing that I've really done has been sort of Facebook ads. I did do a small media buy on a bodybuilding forum, and that did all right. I mean, it kind of broke even, but with a lot of the stuff that I've done with Facebook ads, it's more about just sort of pushing the brand out there as well, just getting a bit more exposure. I'm not really bothered if it breaks even or even sort of loses a tiny bit, because obviously it's already making decent money.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, that's great. Nothing else that really failed for the business, and it sounded like the Facebook ad itself was quite successful for what it was. That's awesome.
What we did with the Facebook ads, we did a free plus shipping offer, like with a sample. But the product itself that we were doing it with, it wasn't really the best type of product to use as a sample potentially. So there are some new products that the suppliers currently creating at the minute that would really, really lend themselves to that. And I mean, if for example the site didn't sell by the time it's finished, it's something that I'll definitely be doing before I sold the site, because I think there's a lot of potential there with that.
Awesome. As far as traffic and earnings go, could you break down where the traffic is coming from? You mentioned Google Organic, so is it mainly SEO traffic?
Yeah, so I would say, I mean, without going into analytics now, I would say it's probably around 60 to 70% organic, and then the rest would be direct and referral traffic.
How much do you think that direct referral traffic is coming from your email list? Are you emailing them pretty regularly, or how do you have that email list set up?
Yeah, I'm a little bit lazy on the emailing. I probably email out about twice a month, usually once with an offer or something, and then I might follow up with the same offer. One thing I will say about the email traffic is, let's say I emailed the list because something went wrong with a cart, or there was just an issue on the site. I'll still make sales. I don't know if it's just because it kind of jogs people's memory that they were going to buy something, but it doesn't seem to matter what I send to the email list. There's always sales out of it. So it is very responsive, the email list. If somebody out there was good with email marketing, I think they could definitely do a lot better than I have with the email list. And then the Facebook page, it's not quite as responsive as the email list, but even still, if you post the right thing, you'll always get sales out of it. So it's, they're definitely underutilized. I would think somebody who has a better knowledge of that than I do could definitely do bigger numbers on email and Facebook subscribers.
Yeah, that's a pretty sizable email list. What was it, Sarah? It's several thousand, right?
It's between sort of 9 and 10,000, yeah. And the good news is as well that the majority of them are buyers, because they're subscribed after they've made a purchase.
Oh, awesome.
So yes, it's certainly, you're not cold emailing any of them. It's definitely, a responsive email list.
I could see that being a very awesome, potential for someone who's a content marketer or something like that to build even more trust and awareness with the brand. I mean, there's so much information in the niche, right? So
yeah,
very cool.
One thing that I have actually done, I hadn't added a lot of content, but what I did do was I wanted to kind of educate the existing customers about the product, and also new customers. So I ended up having a number of blog posts written on individual products, and that did really well with the email list. They'd go along, they'd read the review and what the product's all about, and that did quite well for sales. So like you say, if somebody was good at content marketing, yeah, I definitely think they could build a lot of trust and get a lot of traction by doing that.
Yeah, for sure. So to break down the earning type and history here, you have several products.
There's about 15 products, I think, in total. And there's 1, 2, 3. There's probably 3 or 4 that do the lion's share of the sales. But every single product makes sales every month. I'll have to restock on every single product. It's just some of them do, significantly more than others.
Right.
And that's for various reasons. One, we have a couple that are just very popular that sell quite well. And another reason is, a couple of the products that could potentially be more popular, we just don't rank as well for them. They might be on like page 2, page 3, things like that. So if they were on page 1, I'm sure they'd be another top selling product.
Now, are you sourcing all these products yourself, or is some of it drop shipped?
No, none of it's drop shipped. We do have a couple of products that we buy from other companies, but the main brand that's on there is ours. So we own that. We have a supplier who, creates that for us.
And is your market mainly targeted towards like an American audience? I know you're from the UK, so is it operating more in the UK or more in America?
Yeah, it's 100% UK.
100% UK, okay. So there is, potential for possibly opening that up to an American market right there.
Yeah, maybe.
How stable have the earnings been? Oh, of course, you've been saying it's pretty even, right, since you bought it and been doing work on it.
Yeah, it is quite stable. It's no real sort of surprises month by month. It does, it will pick up in some months and it will, slow down occasionally. But as I mentioned before, there tends to be a kind of cycle that most of the people who are using the supplements will go through. And obviously, as January, February, they're the big months for anything sort of fitness related. Everyone wants to lose weight or look better for summer. So, yeah, it tends to follow that kind of a pattern.
It's pretty cool. It's an old faithful, always doing what has been doing. That's good. As far as opportunities go, let's imagine that you're not going to sell the business and you were going to grow. What would you say is the least risky path to grow the business?
I think there's a few things you could do. I think definitely, doing some SEO just to rank the existing keywords better. There's certainly a number of opportunities with a certain number of keywords that I can think of just off the top of my head that have maybe sat on page 2, where there's, 3,000-4,000 searches a month, where if we'd got them at the first page, it'd make a big difference. Other things that I think would, potentially work well would be to add more products, a broader range of products. The previous owner used to have more products than that are actually on the site now, but they removed a lot of products because I don't think the margins were as good. But if you could get decent deals from other suppliers, I certainly think that, extending the product range would be a good idea. Also, I think that'd probably help with the SEO just because you're going to end up ranking for more products.
Yeah, more product listing pages, content, all that good stuff. What would you do if you were incredibly risky? Let's just say you threw caution to the wind, you wanted to grow this business as rapidly as possible. What would you do?
Well, I don't know. I suppose there's sort of PBNs and things like that. You could maybe look into that. I'm not an expert in anything like that, so I wouldn't know really. But yeah, just more aggressive sort of grey hat / black hat SEO might work. But personally, I wouldn't do that because, I wouldn't want to risk it, but some people might know stuff that I don't. So
yeah, understandable. Speaking of risk, what do you think is the biggest risk for this business that buyers should be aware of?
I think just sort of general things like competition. People obviously can outrank you for stuff. There is a slight issue at the minute as well with the pound. The margin for the suppliers a little bit slimmer, and he has mentioned it to me a few times, but he's assured me that he's not going to make any changes there. And the pound will probably bounce back, so that shouldn't be a big deal. But it's kind of historically low at the minute with Brexit and things like that. So there's always that possibility. But even if it did change, it'd just be to sort of help the supplier, keep supplying, the product. And he certainly wouldn't want to really cut into the margins and that. As far as I'm aware, he doesn't have any intention of doing that. And I could probably get him to confirm that as well, if a buyer was concerned about that.
Cool. Can you describe, the kind of work that you're doing right now to maintain this? I know it's fairly hands-off from the sounds of it, but what is some of your weekly or maybe monthly tasks that you're performing on the site?
Yeah, so on a day-to-day basis, it'll be generally just support, and that's, it varies. It's quite minimal. So in a busy period where I get a lot of support, it might be 1 or 2 a day, and then in just normal periods, it might be on every other day, and then when it's really quiet, like this week, for example, it's Tuesday a day. I haven't had one phone call. I think I had one email yesterday. So, it can be quite quiet, in terms of support. Then the only other thing that I'm doing at the minute is just monitoring stock. So the fulfillment company that I use, I've just updated the way they do this. They use a software called MintSoft. And what I can do is I can just log into there. I can see, kind of links up with the back end of Magento and pulls the product numbers in from there. So I can just see exactly how many, products are in stock and, if anything needs updating. But I'm generally quite on top of stock. What I'll tend to do is do one big order at the start of the month. And then if there's any strange sales activity where, say a certain product sells more than usual, I might just have to top it up once in the month or something. For example, funnily enough, today I've just put a small order in just to, top a few products up. But it's, it's quite minimal, really. There's not a huge amount of work. I would say probably on a day-to-day basis, I'm not spending more than 10, 20 minutes on the business. Now, obviously, if somebody was going to work on, SEO or, adding new products, then obviously that's going to add, time to daily tasks. But if somebody was just going to buy it and sit on it, like I have done for the last year, there's certainly not a huge amount of work. But, particularly as the fulfillment and everything's outsourced now.
What skills or requirements would you suggest for someone not familiar with this niche to have?
The customer service is a good one. Just, try and be sort of friendly and helpful. I don't know. It doesn't really require a huge amount of skill, I don't think. Before I started work, before I bought it, I knew nothing about e-commerce. So I just kind of taught myself over a couple of months. But it's fairly straightforward. I think if I was going to advise somebody who was buying it, just learn a little bit about the product. And you can easily do that by just reading on the site and, reading on the forums. And you can quickly get an idea of what the people in that sort of space all about,
Yeah, moving to some wrap-up questions here. Would you be willing to sign a non-compete with a buyer?
Yeah, absolutely.
And how much support would you be willing to offer a buyer that does purchase this business?
Yeah, so, I would probably look at a couple of calls, maybe half an hour to an hour calls in the first month, and then just email support in the first month.
Okay, great. Now, obviously, the best case scenario for you and for Empire Flippers is for someone to come in and buy the business outright for full list price. But let's
Yeah.
say someone came and offered 70% up front and then say 30% on closing after hitting some training goals, something along those lines. Would that be something you would at all be open to?
Yeah, I mean, I'd definitely consider it. I would definitely consider some kind of financing. Yeah, it's something I consider. Another thing that I did mention when I was, just listing the site, it was something that, it was an email that I'd got a while ago from you guys, and it was just about different ways of sort of, doing the deal, like structuring the deal. And one thing that did interest me a little bit was seller equity. And I think, from a buyer perspective, that could be really good as well, because obviously they'd get a lot more support if I was in some way still retaining some equity in the business, because, I would, I suppose, stay on in some capacity as maybe an advisor or something like that. So, I mean, that's another option that I would be interested in.
Yeah, for sure. I think I might have wrote that post.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, absolutely. Before I ask you the final question here, Carl, the $1 million hot seat question, just to give a quick summary again about the business for those out there listening in internet land. This business was built in March 2012 as a
Yeah.
monthly revenue of $11,090. The expenses are sitting at $7,008, and the net profit is $4,082, and that is over a 9-month average. With the sale, the site includes obviously the site domain, all the files, images, reports for the website, a 9,000 plus subscriber email list, which a lot of them, from the sounds of it, are buyer subscribers, a Facebook page with over 7,000 fans, and a satellite site that will be included in with the deal. So, Carl, my final question for you is, what is your best pitch in 30 seconds or less on why someone should purchase this business?
Well, I mean, I think the site itself is very stable. If somebody's looking at getting into e-commerce, or even if somebody is in e-commerce and doing well with it, it's a stable site that's been around for a long time. The traffic's very consistent. The revenue and profit is very stable. If you did want to sit back and just let it run like I have done, I haven't seen much movement, over the year. It's pretty much exactly where it was when I bought it. But, at the same time, there's a lot of opportunity, in my opinion, to grow the business. I mean, there's definitely businesses in the exact same space that are doing much, much bigger numbers than I am. So, yeah, there's definitely a lot of potential for the right buyer.
Yeah, I love the fact how steady it's stayed. So I think that's awesome. And the fact that it's outsourced almost completely in terms of the fulfillment side, super attractive for sure. For people out there watching this on YouTube, if you want more information about this business, the link will be below the video and it will take you to our marketplace listing. Now, if you're watching this on our actual listing page and you want more information, you can become a depositor today. All you have to do is click the button, make a deposit, and you'll be given everything you need to review this business. So, Carl, thank you so much for coming on. It was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's been good. Cheers, Greg.